Hi everyone, so this is my second video and today I want to talk about how to deal with negative thoughts and negative self-talk. Now this is something I know everyone suffers with, usually on a daily basis, but even more so when we want to try something new or something different. So I just wanted to share some of the things that I've learned about how to deal with it over the years. Okay, so the first thing we probably need to do is talk about how the mind works in order to understand how we can control our thoughts. Now, the mind is divided into two parts, and I don't mean in a scientific sense, I'm talking about the conscious mind. So, the first part is what's known as the thinking part of the brain, the thinker. And this is where your thought processes happen, obviously. So this is where your logic, your reasoning, your creativity, your planning, your opinions, they're all formed in the thinking part of the mind. It's a very active part, and it's very noisy. And yeah, it's basically where all the thought processes happen in your mind. Okay? Now, in contrast to that is the other part of your mind, which is known as the observer. It's also known as attention and awareness. Now, the observing part of your brain is completely different to the thinking part of your brain in the fact that it is silent. There's no judgment, no opinions, basically no thoughts. It's just pure awareness. Now, if you're having trouble trying to get your head around the observing part of the mind, there is a great example that helped me. It's in this book that I read called The Happiness Trap. And it's basically an example where you imagine yourself playing a game of tennis. Now, you're playing your tennis match, and the other person has just hit the ball and it's coming towards you. Now, you're watching this ball come towards you, and you're not thinking about it. You're not thinking, oh, this ball's quite yellow, or what am I having for lunch? You're silent. You're just giving all your attention to the ball moving towards you, and it's just pure awareness of it, watching it silently until it comes towards you so you can hit it back. That is the observing part of your mind at play. Okay? So if you can distinguish between the thinking part and the observing part of your mind, then you're halfway there to controlling your thoughts. Okay? So how do they work together? Well, the thinking part of your brain, like I said, it's great for planning, decision making, and creativity. When you're using it for these things, it's brilliant. But the rest of the time, it kind of tends to run riot. And for this reason, it's also called the monkey mind. So they say you can actually have up to 70,000 thoughts a day. And if you think about it, how many different things will your mind think of it, even in the space of 5 minutes? It will move from one thought to another, to another, to another. They'll appear in your mind and they'll disappear. And then another thought will appear in your mind and it will disappear. And it will go on like that up to 70,000 times a day. Now, the important thing to know is that all thoughts are powerless on their own. Thoughts aren't tangible. Thoughts don't have a physical effect. They're not things you can touch. Then they can't have any effect on you on your own. The only time a thought can have any sort of power over you is when the observing part of the mind gives that thought attention. As soon as the observing mind gives a thought attention, it will identify with it and then it will have an effect on you. So this is the key learning. Okay? So whenever we try to do something new or something a bit different, automatically our mind, the thinking part of our mind, will create negative talk against it. And this is partly an evolutionary thing, like a protective mechanism, to protect us. And it's something that's come, from our caveman days. And it's also partly self-sabotage. So we can have a brilliant idea or want to try something new, and we'd be so inspired and motivated and raring to go. And then the negative thoughts set in. Oh, you sure about this? Oh, I might fail. Oh, what are people going to think of me? Yeah? Does that sound familiar? So the trick is to know what thoughts to pay attention to and what thoughts to simply let go. And the more you increase your self-awareness and strengthen the observing part of your mind, the easier it becomes to decide which thoughts that you should pay attention to and will help you move forward in life, and which thoughts that you don't particularly need to pay attention to, and ones that you can dismiss, and the ones that are just holding you back. So, even when I'm making this video, I can see the negative thoughts in my mind's eye, saying, oh, why are you doing this? Like, are you even good enough to, who are you to teach people anything? Like, oh, everyone's going to judge me. Oh, I'm going to fail, blah, blah, blah. So a thought will come in my mind and I'll see it, but I will choose to let it go. And another thought will pop up in my mind. And I'll say, bye, Felicia. And I'll just let it go. And I'll just, as long as I'm not actually in danger, I will not let those negative thoughts have a say in what I do in my life. I see them for what they are, just a thought, 1 out of 70,000 thoughts that I'll have in a day, and then I will let it go. Now, this is easier said than done in practice, and because some thoughts can be so loud and we've heard them in our head over and over and over again. I'm a failure, I'm a failure, I'm a failure, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, And we've heard them for so long and we've identified with them for so long that it's hard to recognize them for what they actually are, which are just thoughts. So I understand that, but the more you increase your self-awareness, the easier it becomes to separate between what thoughts you need to pay attention to and what thoughts you should simply just dismiss and that are holding you back, like I said. So yeah, if you want to give that a go or want to learn more about it, I would definitely recommend that you read this book called The Happiness Trap, and that's written by Russ Harris. Really good book. It's written in a really easy to understand conversational way, and the best part is it's got loads of exercises in it that you can do as you're reading, so you can practice how to distinguish between thoughts and how to not let them affect you and things like that. It's a brilliant book. I would highly recommend it. And yeah, that's how I deal with it. If you want to give it a go, I'd love to hear your feedback about it. And if you have your own way of dealing with negative thoughts and negative self-talk, please, feel free to share it, because you never know who you might help. Feel free to share it under the video. And I always, this is just my way. I don't know everything. This is just my way of dealing with things. So, and I always think, we can learn from each other. So, yeah. Thanks for listening. And I hope this has helped. And I hope you have a great week ahead. Thank you. Bye.